So we just done 70.5k for this fitness coach in 64 days of running his offer. This is basically a follow-up case study from the interview that I just posted on how we basically went from 0 to 31k from August 5th to September the 5th. And this is a follow-up case study from August 5th to October 8th, which is 64 days. We done 70.5k with his offer. Now, in this video, I've mapped out basically the entire process, all the 6 steps from market research, offer creation, the Instagram funnel, the YouTube funnel, the sales process, and the entire back end structure we're running to basically achieve numbers like this. Before working with us, this client was not selling high ticket at all. This is the first time he's ever sold high ticket, the first time a sales team's been implemented, ran sales calls. It was all through like direct to checkout, like $200 a month programs, and we basically just built out this entire thing from scratch. So this is all from zero. Hence why I'm starting from the market research phase. And the reason we do this is because we want to create better content, sales assets. We want data-proven sales and setting scripts that actually work, and offers that, of course, are going to sell high ticket. So instead of guessing what makes buyers convert, what makes your audience convert, what gets people in sales calls, what converts people in sales calls, you get essentially data-backed clarity on the beliefs, assumptions, and worldviews your best clients already have. Now, there's 3 main ways you can do this. The first way is if you already have sales calls. The second way is if you already have clients. And the third way is if you have a current audience. So if you already don't have an audience and you don't have any of these 3 things, then you can just use AI to research by yourself. But these are the best ways. My favorite is leveraging sales calls, because you're literally getting all of the data from the clients that you've booked in on sales calls, and even better, the current clients who have converted from the sales calls. So you're going to want to, for this, obviously just have some sort of AI note taker. And this is what this client wasn't doing, was recording his calls. So we basically just got read.ai, or you can use Fathom, essentially any note taker. And you want to grab all the transcripts of closed and no closed calls. Basically anyone who is a qualified call, take the transcripts, and depending on how much sort of sales calls you've taken, you can get pretty much thousands of pages of research on your ideal client without even having to do much work. Okay, it's going to take quite a while to scrape all of the transcripts, but once you do, it's going to have a huge ROI. We literally have, this was out of 3 docs, I think we nearly had 1,000 pages worth of market research docs. Convert it to plain text from Google Doc and basically run it through ChatGPT or Claude. And what you want to get from these sales calls here, so this is obviously a bunch of information. You want to condense it down into breaking down their pain points, their desires, objections, and the different buyer types, and an entire sales argument that you can leverage based off the data that you collected from these sales calls. And you can basically generate all of this information right here with one singular prompt and just keep repeating it as you get sales calls every single month. And if you want the exact 2-page prompt that turns these sales calls recordings into formatted market research, DM me prompt on Instagram and I'll send it over to you. I just don't want to cover the prompt in this video because it will take a while, and I just want to focus on the other 2 forms of market research. So obviously the first one is sales calls, which you should continuously be doing, watching your sales calls and analyzing the ICPs there, and using that to create content ideas and objections and scripts and all that sort of stuff. And the second way you can use, which is what we used, so we used all 3 of these essentially, and that's basically quizzing your current clients, because they've already signed up for your program, they've already paid high ticket. So if you can basically in your content just speak to people who have already bought your program, it's going to attract that exact same ICP. So you can just pause and look at the questions that we asked his current community here. And obviously, depending on how much people are inside of your program or what sort of incentive you give them, you can generate hundreds of columns of market research, find out their exact pain point, why they started in the journey, what made them want to sign up for you, what have they tried in the past that didn't work, and just use that as leverage and obviously create some sort of master ICP doc using the prompt in ChatGPT or Claude. Now, the third way is leveraging your current audience. Now, if your audience is big enough, this is a really good way to do it. This is essentially how Hormozy came up with his book ideas. He just pulled his audience and just obviously seen which one had the more votes. So the first way, which we didn't do the one-on-one calls, but you can do one-on-one calls. So the first way is we done polls. So we literally just ask people, what's been the hardest part of you losing weight in your weight loss journey so far? What's your main goal right now? And why haven't you been able to lose weight? Because obviously his offer is a weight loss offer. And we basically just get research from here. And then you just ask these questions that I showed you here in the Google form, put it into ChatGPT or Claude. Same thing for the one-on-one calls. You can give an incentive where people just sort of want proximity to you for a one-to-one call. You can just then run through all of these questions here that you would ask your current clients. Now, that's the 3 ways that we generated ICP research. From all the information and all the ways I just showed you how to get information from your ICP, you create a context profile. And that basically goes over your demographic, their psychographics, their pain points, their desires and aspirations, their emotional drivers, their current situation, their goals, common objections, their communication and language, and their success metrics. Once you've got all this data here, then you have enough information and leverage to create a high ticket offer that people are actually going to pay for. For example, we 50x his prices after running this process just because we had enough data to create an offer that his audience actually wants. If you already have an offer, don't skip out on this process because you can use it as ideas for marketing and, as I said, to create all your sales scripts and objections and FAQs and that sort of stuff, which I'll run through in the funnels part. So now we're onto the offer. We basically built the offer for complete scratch using Hormozi's framework, which is we had a quantifiable end result, as in we help people lose an extra 8 to 16 kg. Time frame is in 16 weeks, and we aren't just guessing what to put in here. This is literally what we got from the research, from the sales calls. Like, ideally, how much weight do these people want to lose? And ideally, what time frame would they want to lose it? What's realistic for them? No one wants to be in a program for 12 months. They're paying for essentially speed. And this is really, and you want to keep it the most realistic as well. Wait, so we put 16 weeks / 4 months. The niche and target market, men working a full-time job. We literally just looked at the audience, seen that most of his, I think it was like 80% of his audience were male, so we were just going to market to males. The unique mechanism name, we just gave it the More Method, as that's his second name, and it was already sort of his company name. And I guarantee, if you don't lose an extra 5 to 10 kg, you get an entire refund. Obviously, if you follow a set of stipulations. We then put it into a 1-sentence offer, which essentially just turned into, I help men working a full-time job lose 8 to 16 kg in 16 weeks or less without sacrificing your favorite foods, completely guaranteed. Now, this is just what you can put in your VSL headlines, and so people actually know you have a quantifiable offer. And the way we thought about pricing was, we just started at 2k because that was essentially the market standard for fitness. Like, loads of people are easily able to sell for 2k, so we just started at 2k. We were sitting around 40 to 45% close rate. So at the start of September, we then raised our price to 3k, and then we're sitting nicely at a 30 to 35% close rate. And we just followed this Hormozi framework. If your close rate is below 30%, focus on selling better before getting better at price, increasing your price. If you're 30-40%, you're probably approximately priced. If you're 40 to 50% close rate, you're underpriced by 1.25 to 1.5x, so increase your prices by 25%. So we just bumped our prices up to 3k because we were closing at 40 to 45%, and we had the case studies to prove it. So now we're sitting nicely at 3k, and obviously we're going to keep putting the price up until we get at that sweet spot. After we've done this, we obviously take all this information, we have the offer, we can then actually focus on marketing and funnel. So the first funnel that I'm going to go over is the Instagram funnel. This is where probably most of our appointment flow and deal flow comes from, and then everything under Instagram is just a byproduct. We're probably booking anywhere from 30 to 50 appointments a week from Instagram. We've just started the YouTube now, which I'll go into, which is maybe bringing 10, 15, 20 calls in every single week. So Instagram is the main sort of funnel and process that we're running. So on Instagram, we're running no ads. Everything here is completely organically, and we've set the profile up in a way where it's a funnel and it takes people down a sales process, even though it's not like your standard like webinar funnel, VSL funnel, challenge funnel. We just run everything essentially through Instagram DMs, polls, which I'll run through now. So he's pumping out a ton of top of funnel content, which I'll cover. So essentially, when people see that, they're going to click on his profile here. The first thing they do is they're going to look at his highlights, which we have as client results, and then the pin posts as well. So we set up the pin posts in a way where the first post that pretty much anybody will see if it's a new follower is this video here, which is a call to action, like a DM call to action video straight to your VSL, client results, which doesn't have a DMCTA, and leveraging his story, like the hero's journey thing Russell Brunson talks about. So the most important part here is probably the call to action to the VSL, because we get people to obviously call to action here, and it sends them straight to the first VSL sort of document that we made. So a sales asset. Here's how to lose an extra 5 to 15 kg in 16 weeks with the more method, and then it's just our VSL here. And we have application buttons inside of this VSL, which obviously people are coming from this post here. They'll read or watch for this VSL, apply now, and book a call. If they don't like sort of self-book from this VSL, there's an appointment setter that takes all of these people in through a conversation. So we've had clients where we've posted this over a year ago to date, recording this this YouTube video, and we're still getting comments and people going for the VSL and people coming inbound to us and having inbound conversations. A couple of days ago, if you pin it, it's just going to get continuous traffic, and you just want to pin your main sort of asset. What you can do is you can leverage free courses. You can give away a free course here, and I like to give away a VSL as well. Now, since we just had it in like a PDF or a document format, we just done that there, or you can just send them to your high ticket sort of VSL funnel. And they can book a call in from there, or your setter obviously takes them for a conversation. So to dive a little bit deeper in terms of the actual content we're running is he's doing these top of funnel videos, which as you can see, he's got 3 million views, 3.4 million views, 282,000 views, which is just farming as much engagement, follow, likes, comments, pretty much everything to just generate lead flow for people to see our middle of funnel content and our bottom of funnel content as well. Now, since the audience is at 700k, we're sort of slowing down on the top of funnel content and focusing on middle of funnel and bottom of funnel content as well, because you can't really, unless you're running ads, you can't really control the ICP that this attracts. So we're just going to niche down a little bit and speak more to our ideal client, maybe sacrifice the amount of followers that are coming in, and just in return get more appointments and clients from this. So the middle of funnel stuff is obviously just normal talking head reels. Naturally, these are going to get less views, and there's no sort of call to action or anything. In terms of, we are running retargeting ads now, but it isn't responsible for any results that you've seen so far. We're running retargeting ads to this video to basically viewers who have watched 50% of these middle of funnel videos. And then we do bottom of funnel posts, which is 2 times a week, and these are always call to action reels. So we're running 2 call to action reels every single week, and this drives as much people as possible to essentially conversations in the DM setter. So we've got this call to action reel here, which is constantly bringing in comments, constantly getting people to our VSL and applying here, or again having a conversation with the DM setter. And we're running this 2 times a week to generate more conversations with the DM setter as well. So there's just a constant influx of inbound leads and conversations coming to the DM setter. Now, on the topic of conversations, if you're running any sort of Instagram profile funnel, or you're running DMs, you just want to get as much inbound conversations to your DM setter as possible. Make it as easy as possible for them to have as much conversations, because the more you scale conversations, you're naturally just going to book more appointments, right? So the 3 main ways we're doing this is just through organic reels, which I've sort of touched on, stories, which is bringing us in an insane amount of appointments for not that much work, and also outbound as well. Now, if you've got a less amount of following, outbound works super well, but we've just got too much leads where outbound, there's not much sense in doing outbound, right? So the main 2 ones that we're leveraging right now is reels and stories. So the way reels works is, obviously we're running these call to action reels here, as I said, 2 times every single week. We're getting leads to comment a specific keyword. So like, for example, the word coach or menu or fat loss. We send them a lead magnet, obviously through ManyChat. ManyChat initiates the first DM, and we're running DMs through this. Even if you just run these 2 times a week and you have a relatively large audience, that's enough lead flow for one setter to book 3, 5, 10 plus appointments every single day. Now, since our setter's dialed, we're also running stories as well. So we always want to make sure something's up and there's enough conversations for a setter to essentially work full time. So the main 3 ways we're sort of running this is we're doing polls, we're doing DM call to actions on the story, and we're doing story sequences as well. Now, for the story sequences, we're running these bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks. I'm sure you've seen, if you're following any like coach, consultant, or essentially agency owner, they just post story sequences all of the time. We run these every single 2 weeks because what we found is it's a sweet spot of not burning your audience out, but still getting people to comment for you. There's a lot of leads that can come in and followers that can come in this 2 weeks, or if they have seen it, maybe they can reach back out in 2 weeks. This isn't necessarily designed as much so to generate conversations. It's just designed to get like that bottom of funnel sort of lead who just wants to join or wants to book a call now. So naturally, these are always going to have less lead flow, but the leads are way higher intent, and it's just so much easier to book them on a call, and there's not much resistance inside of the sales process to sign them up. Same for the DM call to action as well. We just give away lead magnets, exactly what we do in the reels, but we just post it on our story. For example, DM meal, and then we just run it through ManyChat. Same for polls as well, which have actually gotten us like an insane amount of cash. This, if we put a poll, we definitely get like 3 to 5 high ticket clients per poll. And we're running a couple of these every single week. So that's literally between, like, if we're charging 3K, anywhere from like 5 to 15K per poll. And we obviously don't want to spam these as well. Like we have a good cadence where we're switching up the DM call to action with the DM giveaways, with the polls as well. And then with the polls, it's an amazing way that you can run outbound and generate context moving forward, because now everyone's sort of sister DM setting, even in B2C, like people either think it's AI, a robot, or a DM setter. That's just what they think it is, or manage or some sort of automation. In polls, it's a really good way to generate to create context. So for example, if in this poll here, if we just zoom in, he said, what's been the hardest part of your weight loss journey so far? Let's just say someone says losing fat. The appointment setter can reach out and be like, hey man, I appreciate you voting on that poll there. Or you could ask you a couple more questions about your answer here of losing fat, just to see if I can send you over any free resources. And that opener has been having really good reply rates for us, and as I said, signing in a lot of clients. Now, if your lead flow and follower count is lower, you can instead outbound to followers, anyone who likes your post or comments on your post as well. We're just using this sort of like 3-part content system to basically funnel out any sort of lead who just likes the post because they maybe don't know who we are as much. Anyone commenting a keyword, voting on a story, replying to a story sequence, as I said, voting on a poll is a way higher intent lead, so they're just way easier to book in on a call. On the back end of this lead magnet, and these why these are working so well, is obviously we then have ManyChat, and the appointment setter then intercepts here and then books on an appointment with the lead via Instagram DMs. Now, if they somehow don't book in via Instagram DMs, for them to even get the lead magnet that they booked in for or opted in for, we then collect their phone number and email, and then we get a phone setter to dial at least 100 of these leads every single day, which obviously generates more calls. So they're either getting set on the Instagram DMs, or they're getting dialed up by our dialer. And then if that doesn't book an appointment, or let's just say they aren't replying on any of these platforms, there's a 5-step email sequence which has call to actions to the VSL landing page, which I'm going to cover in the YouTube funnel. On this lead magnet as well, we have a thank you page which has a mini 1-minute VSL, like, thank you for checking out this lead magnet. It gives a little guide on how to use it, and then there's a call to action to apply, and this application page takes us straight to the VSL. So if you just picture us, we're running maybe 3-ish lead magnets every single week. There's one evergreen pinned to the top of our profile, and we're just consistently running leads for this year. Why they're booking leads in from the Instagram, we're booking leads in from the phone setter, or email, or the VSL page. Each one of these, so making sure that the systems are tight and we're not leaking any leads from the system. Now, the second part is YouTube. Now, transparently, YouTube isn't like printing for us at the moment because we started this a little bit later. We were just sort of building out all the systems and the automations and making sure everything was good before we really did focus on YouTube. But eventually YouTube will just like book more appointments than essentially a sales team ever could. Like, you can scale to 500k a mil a month with literally just organic YouTube alone if you really wanted to. So our YouTube strategy is we're getting all the traffic from top of funnel and Instagram, and we just funnel people to watch our YouTube content here. Or you can, another way is use your YouTube video as a DM call to action. So you can give away a YouTube video inside of your comments or inside of your Instagram reels and use that to generate a ton of conversations for your setter, and then give the setter that YouTube video to send them inside of the conversation. So that way they're getting nurtured in the DMs, and they're getting nurtured by your longer form YouTube video. So we have 100k subs on YouTube, and we've only posted 135 videos. Now, most of the videos is literally just repurposed content from shorts. And we literally just started focusing on long form YouTube. If you aren't posting on long form YouTube, you definitely should, because this is just inside of the funnel that we're now. This is just way too late. So we're picking this up now, doing between 1 to 2 long form YouTube videos every single week. And we're not really doing as much so like top of funnel style content on YouTube. Like, I know a lot of people do top of funnel long form videos, middle funnel long form videos, and bottom of funnel long form videos. We're literally just doing middle funnel and bottom of funnel YouTube videos. For example, the middle funnel ones are here: how I would lose belly fat fast if I had to restart, the only nutrition guide you'll need, a vlog, 5 fat loss mistakes, and then our bottom of funnel are just these sort of client interviews, which we'll have another client interview coming out now. Even if you aren't posting on YouTube, client interviews are still super important, and I'll run through why and where you can use them. But we're just running these client interviews as bottom of funnel style videos, and these are assets that your appointment setter can send to leads after they've booked in a call, or leads will just go and manually find themselves. You've probably heard before, like, these short form pieces of content are 30 seconds to a minute or a minute and a half. If a lead then watches this 22-minute vlog or 20-minute vlog, that's going to nurture the lead a lot more than a 30-second sort of Instagram reel, you know? So our top of funnel main, like our main sort of attention driver to these longer form YouTube videos is these short form videos here. So like these short form videos are getting decent engagement, like 23k views, 30k views, 29k views, 6k views, etc, etc. This video that we done here, this 52k viewed video, actually most of the traffic we got from this was from a YouTube short that popped off, which got like 9 million views. So we just link our longer form YouTube video to our short form video, and then people essentially just watch this and then submit to the VSL call funnel, which I'll explain here. So literally just to show you the analytics. So look, literally 86.5% of this traffic came from related shorts, and related shorts literally just means like this, where you scroll through shorts and then it's related to a video, and you just click on that and it takes you straight to the long form YouTube video. From here on the descriptions, we have a call to action to just book a call straight, and this goes straight to the VSL landing page. We like to keep people on platforms like a flywheel sort of effect. Watch this to learn how I'd lose fat if I had to start over again. So we send people back to another YouTube video, and then happy to answer any questions here, where the DM setter can then convert these leads in on Instagram. So essentially, in short, the way this YouTube funnel works, if I just scroll over here, is if I just draw like a funnel sort of thing here, the top of funnel is like the pieces of short form content which get put out every single day. This is the top of funnel. So this is where like all the eyeballs and all of the attention comes from, is these, again, short form pieces of content which are literally just repurposed. We repurpose these on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and then this then funnels down into the long form pieces of content, and then in the long form pieces of content, this then funnels down into the VSL. And I'm going to explain how our VSL landing page is set up now. So when someone clicks on, this is basically what it looks like. VSL funnel, we have no opt-in, and it's sort of an organic type of video. What I like to do is, especially if a lead is coming off YouTube, like they're used to watching like YouTube style videos, they don't necessarily like really want to get sold to. So we basically just keep this VSL like a YouTube video, like an organic YouTube video. We're maybe going to revamp this one and like get it edited and stuff, but this has honestly been doing pretty well for us now. So a headline is, for busy men working full time, learn how you can lose fat without cutting out the food you love using the MORE method. And then we just have a 7-minute VSL here. Once they've watched this VSL, they can click the apply now button, and then below this we just have case studies and photos of client transformations here. So these are the client interviews that I was speaking about, which we obviously have on our front page of the VSL funnel. Once they click on, we then have an application. Obviously then they just book a call straight into Calendly, and we have the Calendly basically for 4 days out. What we've found is, if a lead books any more than 4 days out, the show up rate drops drastically. So that's essentially how the VSL funnel works. It's like insanely simple, and that's just how we're running that. So the YouTube is literally just to drive as much traffic to that VSL funnel as possible to get obviously booked appointments from there, or nurture the audience from Instagram, and then our DM setter can have conversations with the people who obviously came in from YouTube. Now, those are the ways we're generating deals and appointments coming in from Instagram and YouTube. Now, what happens when a lead actually books in on a call? Like, what's the process after that? So, essentially, we have this like post booking or thank you page, if you want to call it, which we send to every single lead from basically every scenario. So, this is what I mean. So, they get sent to the post booking page if they book in through Calendly. So, obviously, we've got the Calendly on the VSL page. We've got the Calendly the Calendly links that the DM setters are using, and we just make it a redirect page straight to the post booking page here. So if they get set for Calendly, they go straight there. Closer then reaches out via WhatsApp, obviously has a conversation with them and make sure that they've watched through this post booking page, and obviously the appointment setter sends it through on Instagram as well, basically after the call is booked. Now we're also using it on Calendly on our pre-call reminders as well. So like, hey, we've got a call in 12 hours or so, make sure you check out this page before we hop on call because it's super important. And then we also have an email sequence that goes out, which I want to dive into a little bit more in a second. So basically the way this post-booking page is structured is, if you can remember back to the market research phase, you should have a list of questions between, I would recommend 10 to 15 of the most common frequently asked questions that you get on sales calls, or just FAQs of your audience about your specific program, and you should have the most common objections. So you should have FAQs and objections, and this is what you want to tackle before you hop on calls with leads, or before your closer hops on call with leads. So we only have 9 FAQs at the moment. Obviously, we're going to add in some more here. And we basically just make these breakout videos, and they're between, you can make it anywhere between 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and literally just answer that question right there on the post booking page. So this is what it looks like. First step, watch this quick 2-minute video to make sure you're prepared for the call. We have a video here saying you're going to get a text message from someone in our team via WhatsApp, which is obviously going to be the closer. And also make sure to check your emails and actually look through this page, because you're going to be a lot more prepared for the call. And essentially, we just want this lead to consume as much content as possible before the call, so they come on more educated and they have obviously less objections, and they're warmer and easier to close and actually do show up. So, for example, is this program extreme? This is what we were seeing people on a sales call saying, like, you're like, I don't want this to be too extreme, or how is this different from like any other fitness coach, because obviously this industry is like insanely saturated, or what if I've already failed before, like what if this doesn't work, I'm too scared to invest. I mean, literally just write out the objections and the answers on a Google Doc, and then just record these as 20-minute breakout videos. We've basically then turned these breakout videos, or the topic of these breakout videos, and turned them into one email each that obviously sends out to the lead via email as soon as they booked in on a call. So we have an automation where as soon as they book in, this email sequence starts. And the idea is you want to email this lead between 3 to 6 times per day post-booked call to handle as many objections as possible when it comes to our offer. So obviously they're going to be watching these videos here, but we can add way more content in here. We can link YouTube videos in this email sequence. We can link our post back to our post-booking page, and it's just longer form handles of our objections that we've basically written out on this FAQ page here. So that's essentially the process it comes to in post-booking nurture. So I'd recommend creating an email sequence that's basically repurposed information of this that also sends leads to like the YouTube video and all that sort of stuff, which you send 3 to 6 times per day. So you want to have anywhere between, again, or like FAQ stuff is a little bit less here. Ideally, you want to have like 15 emails here that goes out within like 48 to 72 hours as soon as the lead books in. Just give them as much information as possible. And lastly, we have all the back-end processes here as well. So on the back end, we have obviously automations and tracking. Obviously, you've got like team culture, all that sort of stuff, but I'm just going to cover like the tangible stuff here. So the first part is like automation. So how we're handling like all of this lead flow, how we're making sure no leads slip through the cracks, and we're basically just running everything like centralized through Discord. You can run Slack as well, but we just run it on Discord. So we have channels for like when payments come through. So obviously we know if clients renew and if new clients are obviously coming in, so the entire sales team can see. And it's basically broken down into where the dialers can speak, where the setters can speak and ask questions, conversations the setters are having that they need help with, boot call channel, no show channel, cancel call channel, setter end of days, and closer end of days, which will explain what and why that's for here. So obviously in the boot call channel, we just get notified basically what setter set what lead on. And we have it where we're tracking where exactly these appointments are coming through. So you can see boot to call from DMs, boot to call from DMs, boot to call from DMs. At the end of this is, for example, it's from the VSL. We'll know it's a VSL lead, and then we can input that into the sales tracking sheet and track accordingly. Same for like emails or YouTube or whatever, and then again set by the setter's name, so we know what setter's doing what, and obviously you'll also be able to see that information inside of the setter end of day report. So in terms of like setting processes as well, we have automations for when a lead no shows the call. So obviously on Calendly or whatever calendar you're using, I assume you can just click when a lead no shows. We do this 50 minutes after the lead is no show on the call, and this just sends out like a no show sort of email sequence. It's essentially like 5 to 6 emails which tries to get the lead back in on the call, which I forgot to put in this breakdown here. And then we have the exact same email sequence for cancelled calls as well. So as soon as this automation is triggered, it sends an email sequence, basically gets them to rebook, sends them links via email, and then our appointment setter reaches out via Instagram, and then the dialers reach out via their number here, which obviously just pings straight to the Discord. And whoever sets this lead last in terms of setters ultimately gets the commission, which obviously incentivizes them to book these leads on call as soon as possible. Like you want to, as soon as this gets in, you want your setters to reach out to these people as soon as possible. Like speed to lead here is super important. And then exact same thing here for cancel calls. An email sequence goes out pretty much every day for like 5-6 days, and then again DM setter on Instagram reaches out here, and then appointment dialer reaches out via their number. So that's what we're doing in terms of like cancel calls and no show calls as well. You can run a similar thing as well. Like if you're running like DM ads, retargeting ads, or anything like that, you can link it up with ManyChat and let it ping in here when you have a new lead. You can also run it for like opt-ins via your VSL. Obviously, we do not have an opt-in, so we're not doing any of that sort of stuff. So we're literally just doing cancel calls and no-show calls in terms of like lead efficiency. Similar thing here in terms of like tracking numbers is the appointment setter end of days, and then the closer end of day reports as well. So we basically just run everything through like Google and Google Forms. So we basically just track on the front end, which the entire team can see, like the client, sales manager, anything, is the number of outbounds that appointment setter sent on that specific day, conversations that were started, booking links were sent, and then calls booked. And then same for closer end of day as well. So we've got date, call scheduled, call shown, qualified leads, offer gave, deals closed, cash collected, and then revenue generated on that specific day. And then we collect all of this information inside of a Google form, where you can then obviously link it up to stuff like Looker Studio and track your metrics there. And then we on Zapier, we basically just have this information on the front end that we need to see each and every single day. And similar thing here for the tracking. Like you just want to make sure that you're tracking as much metrics as you possibly can. You just want to know your numbers for essentially everything, and just to show you like a broad idea. So we have the set and tracking sheet here, which obviously tracks reach out, responds, replies, booking link send, assets consumed, follows up, unqualified leads, deals, and cash collected. Obviously on a date where we can see, like for example, if we send 1,000 messages, we're going to collect, I don't know, 20k worth of sales. And then we'll know as well our reply rate, qualified conversation rate, booking link, and appointment booking rate, which is super important because you're going to need to know essentially how well the appointment setting process is actually working. And then also platforms as well. So for example, we're going to start Facebook now. Like everything I've ran through in this video is literally just through Instagram. So obviously we're going to start Facebook, and you can see lead types as well. So is it a paid ad lead? Is it an organic outbound lead? Is it an opt-in lead? Any of that sort of stuff there, which you can track. And then we have closing tracking sheets. So we just track all of our leads in here, if they closed, how much cash they gave, the revenue generated, so we can see their close rate and their no-show rate as well. And obviously this gives us metrics on like that. And if we need to follow up with these leads as well, which is obviously, if you just even track your numbers, like you could potentially add an extra like 6 figures or whatever a year, literally just with being efficient with this stuff to make sure leads don't slip through the cracks. And then every single week we run this company scorecard, which we got, I can't remember the guy's name, but we Ryan Dice, his name is. We got this from him, which is a company scorecard. And we basically track all of our metrics here every single week and input the data in manually. So we have revenue, cash collected goals here, which we just run here and obviously assign metric owners, and we just run through this every single Monday. Or North Star metrics, so we have like meetings booked, meetings taken, and then marketing, so like YouTube videos posted, reels posted, call to action reels posted, story sequences posted, number of outbound sent, number of calls booked, and closing rate as well. So we just know our metrics every single week, and I know a lot of companies who are doing multiple 7 figures who run all of their metrics for this every single week, so you can see your numbers. So the end of day reports and the closer end of days is more like tracking actual KPIs and metrics, and this is for just making sure that the team that you're running stays accountable, and everyone knows like the reverse engineered numbers to essentially hit the goals that you're wanting to achieve as a company. Now, if you're running any sort of info offer or want to start selling high ticket and you already have an audience, we can partner up with you and implement this entire A to Z process and basically do whatever it takes to add an extra 50 upwards of 100k a month to your offer, on a 100% done for you basis. So if you've got any questions about that, just shoot me a message on Instagram. It will be inside of the description, and we can see if this would be a good fit for you.